Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video. Today I'm going over the winners and losers from the June Balance Dataslate. But before getting into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Do you agree? Disagree? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, as well as an affiliate Element Games and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But let's get into the video. So what happened with the latest Balance Dataslate? So we actually got several teams tweaked, both positively and negatively. One team got like Omega buffed in a very crazy way, but we had no other core gameplay or kill zone changes like we've seen in previous Balance Dataslates, you know, adding new core rules or tweaking them or tweaking kill zones so they're more playable. Nothing like that. So actually, compared to last quarter's Balance Dataslate, we haven't had that many huge change. It's been more toned down, you know, kind of like just trying to coast a bit. So starting off with winners, we have the Scout Squad. They got an extra operative and super knives. It is literally the most unthematic buff we've ever had in Kill Team. You know, we've had some crazy things, you know. I think the most egregious one was probably Hunterclade, and even then, that was from them just being horrible. They just added too many things, which they later reverted. Not only did Scouts get an extra operative, which everyone was kind of like, do they really need that? They also got super knives. Their knives are now 4/6, right? Completely what? It's like, so when a Space Marine when a Scout becomes a Space Marine, they tone down their knives, they blunt them, right? Or they've been so blunt from how many times they've been used as a Scout. They never sharpened them, so their blades go down to 3/5 damage. What on earth? They do more damage than their Chainsword leader. They do more damage than a Reaver. But anyway, whatever. What people were expecting were buffs that would, you know, buff their faction ability, giving the heavy gunners cumbersome to make them more usable. But no, you've just got an extra warrior and you've got super knives. Like, they're basically the new commandos now. They're a hugely oppressive stat check because they're all 10 wounds, 4 up save, and 10 bodies. They've heavily warp any 10 operative team that is 7 to 8 wounds with a 4 up save because it just does not compare to the Scouts, right? It's just weird. They're the new stat check team. First it was Gellerpox, they're still the biggest stat check team. Then it was Commandos, but now it's definitely Scouts. Their buff is so powerful. A Scout with a knife can now 1v1 a Space Marine and will most likely win. This is the meta we're in. Yeah, these but the thing is, it's not even just the knives. You could reliably run like 5 melee scouts and 5 shotgun scouts and win. You don't really need to take the heavy gunners anymore, and the sniper rifle's still good, but you don't necessarily need that. You know, your hunter, if he does a backflip, goes to lethal 3-up, so he's 6/6 damage. Like, he just does a backflip and goes, watch this, guys, and just cuts out 2 Space Marines. It's crazy. They're very strong. I wouldn't say they're the strongest kill team, but you can literally just turn your brain off and walk up the board, because a lot of teams, if they don't have enough damage to fight through you, they just die and they can't even charge you now because you have a power weapon without lethal 5-up. Anyway, Scouts, big winner. And you know, this is a knife. Hearthkyn Salvager, they're definitely winners. They now get -1 damage to a minimum of 3 from a close combat attack while on an objective. You know, it doesn't work. It gets shooting, but remember, they do have a 3-up save, a way to get rerolls to their armor save, and a way to change crits to normals. The leader gets a once per game just a scratch versus a damage 4 or greater attack dice. So effectively, it's even harder for him to kill because the leader has 9 wounds. Basically, the weakness of this kill team got heavily toned down because melee was part of their weakness. Now, if they're on objectives, they just have built-in damage negation, and their leader is just very difficult to kill in a single attack. Well, not in 2 attacks. You basically need a 5 attack weapon to get 5 hits, then go into the leader to get a reliable kill, so the leader is more durable. They have incredible board control now, because remember, you still have the locator, you know, you still have all these abilities that you can use to shut down the opponent to pin them in turning point 1 while you move up. They have they're much harder to shift from objectives, especially, as I said, because their combat weakness has been lessened. And this stacks if you've given certain operatives like plasma knives, because remember they're 2 equipment points, 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 3/5. So especially if you've got your attack order procced, someone charges you, you can now reliably survive, because if they're only doing 4/4 damage, they will literally do 7 damage and die. So it becomes really hard to shift these Hearthkyn from objectives, because even if they do kill you in 3 hits, they are now taking anywhere from 6 to 10 damage back, which is devastating. Very, very good. And they just have great power and late game threats. They have, you know, ways to basically do a shoot and fight action, you know, with their tack ploys, grudge tokens, which get progressively better the more you, as the game goes on. So just very good at the moment. Like, they surprisingly got these buffs out of nowhere, and they're just, wouldn't be surprised if they're one of the best performing kill teams in the game right now. Legionary, they are winners. They can now mix roster chaos marks freely. All hail Tzeentch and Nurgle rosters. It's still missing internal buffs, like, you know, with the Butcher and making their double fight, double shoot ploy just a single ploy, combine it together. But it's a nice change. Although, you know, it would have been much better if they also increased the roster to 30 operatives to fully use it, because there's going to be times where, like, Slaanesh is actually really useful for this kill team, but you're going to struggle if you're doing 2 marks already. If you go to 3 marks, you're effectively limiting what you can run. But I kind of would like that, at least if they increase the roster, because you probably actually want to run all 4 marks. It's just a nice quality of life change. Much needed. It's just a shame it took this long to happen. Exaction Squad are winners. They got more accuracy buff via reroll, so their shooting ploy, it works within 4 inches or from any range if you are a gunner. So one of their 3 gunners, you can take either a grenade launcher, a Weber, or heavy stubber. Gunners technically proc rerolls with equipped grenades. So you can be, if you've got that tactical ploy up, if you're within 6 inches and you've given a frag grenade or a crack grenade to one of your gunners, they now basically just get rerolls all the time. Probably unintended, but that's how it's worded at the moment. Really weird loophole, but I guess that's fine. Subductors are effectively even more undesirable to charge and fight, because now with your combat ploy, you're rerolling any dice result of 1 dice. So because you're on 4s, if you're on 2 3s or 2 2s, all of a sudden you're getting more chances to reroll and basically fish for crits. So it makes it, even if you have brutal, it makes it better for the shield warriors to just proc crits, which is just good for Exaction. They have great board control with lots of good skew matchups, like Broodbrother. Like Broodbrother are really weird as a good matchup for Exaction, but this is how Exaction play at the moment. They still have lots of bad matchups when it comes to popular kill teams, but they also have weirdly good matchups into good and powerful kill teams as well. Like especially Mandrakes. Mandrakes on Into the Dark. I don't think they can actually beat Exaction Squad. So it's just one of those weird things. But also this kill team would probably lose to scouts and teams like Gellerpox Infected, as well as probably still commanders at this point. So it's not like they just dominate top teams. They dominate some of the top teams, if that makes sense. And also batons will never be better than fists. We just, I guess, have to accept that. But whatever. Exaction Squad are in a great spot right now. Nemesis Claw are winners. Vox Scream remains incredibly powerful post FAQ. You can now shut down so many plays. It's like, it literally is so unfair the way Vox Scream works now, but it's so powerful at stopping abilities. Your opponent, normally people say like, oh, you need to set up 2 threats at the end of the turning point. So if you go first against Nemesis Claw, they can only stop 1. In practice now, you need to set up like 3 threats, because then if the Nemesis Claw win initiative and then kill one of your Alpha Strikes, then they stop your other one, so then it's just a huge problem. But Vox Scream, very powerful. Prescience points are hugely effective still, allowing you to win most matchups. For example, you will always beat elites because you're basically going to lock them out with prescience points, as well as any team with even up to 10 activations, especially if you stock those sub-prescience points going into turning point 2. Very, very powerful. And as I said, they're the best elite team in the game right now. They beat all elites because they'll just out-activate them and bully them. Ventriloquia is very powerful. The leader's very difficult to deal with. You have to basically send either 2 operatives in to kill him or someone really powerful. Just in a great spot right now, living off the power they have right at the moment. Mandrake and Brood Brother are winners. I know people were saying like, oh, both of these teams could be nerfed, but we all knew it was never going to happen. But they're now in a very, very good spot, considering this may be the last Balance Dataslate of the edition, and most of their bad matchups were nerfed. So they have less things to worry about. They're mostly concerned about playing into each other, but it's very good for these two Season 3 teams. They're great teams to invest in for competitive players, because as I said, they're very unlikely to get hit for the rest of the edition and season. So you can just play with them going, I'm locked in. They're safe. I'm safe. So it's a safe team to invest into. Mandrake kill team is the best Eldari kill team, like hands down, you know, in shadow, teleportation, board control, so many tricks. Very, very good. And Brood Brother are tied for the best, or are the best kill team currently. Just so many busted ploys. Like their deadly coordination tactical ploy is absolutely broken with what it can do. As I said, I've said this multiple times, but I can't believe this team made it through as it is with testing. Just absolutely broken. Crazy. But it's not in terms of like previous kill teams. It's more like broken in a fair way where they really don't have any bad matchups now. It's very, very minimal. So most of their matchups are okay, but they have like really good matchups and okay matchups. They don't have any matchups where they're like, oh, this is a horrible matchup for the Brood Brother. Very, very not there. So that's why they're so good, and so many good players are flocking to them. Gellerpox, Infected, and Wyrmblade are also winners. Both strong kill teams who have been performing well in the last quarter and haven't seen any nerfs. I was kind of expecting minor nerfs for both, but neither kill team got them, which is great, you know. I'm so happy. They're both very hard kill teams to play, but very strong when properly used, because, you know, Wyrmblade are still quite fragile, and if you get too greedy turning point 1, it can lead you to scoring well turning point 1 but then losing the rest of the game. And Gellerpox, you kind of have to learn how to play around bad boards as well as just trying to survive turning point 1 as much as possible. And if you can't do that well with either kill team, you end up just getting really harshly punished. So that's why it's kind of warping, and I can see why they may not want to touch them. They have great matchups into a lot of the strong kill teams and the general field, like Gellerpox and Wyrmblade. I'd say are both good into Brood Brothers and Mandrakes as well as most of the field. Like Gellerpox are great into Nemesis Claw, Wyrmblade are okay into Nemesis Claw, but a lot of the other good threats, I think Wyrmblade probably can deal with Scout to an extent. Gellerpox can do it better, but that's what I mean. It's like Wyrmblade are also really good if you can punish the boards, and as well as they're just really solid. Pathfinders are winners, and I know this is going to catch people out like, John, they got nerfed, but hold on. Their nerfs only really affected their turning point 1 alpha strikes. So recon sweep doesn't work turning point 1. The recon drone only grants like basically a single reroll instead of relentless, but the recon drone is still an auto include. It still gives you a free recon dash. It still has a heavy burst cannon, and it still has 12 wounds with a 4-up save. Just very good. Always still take it. And you're still able to alpha strike, except on Into the Dark, with a forward deploying gun drone. So obviously on Bheta Decima, it's only a 4-inch forward deploy. On open, it's still 6 inches. And then if you take change order, you give it +1 APL. It moves, dash, shoots. Then you activate the drone controller, who activates it to shoot again. I'm very shocked they didn't just lock this to you can't change from conceal order turning point 1. But whatever, they just wanted to leave that. One of the biggest complaints with the kill team, they just wanted to leave it in there. So that, unless on Into the Dark, because the forward deploy only is locked into conceal on Into the Dark, which I guess they thought Into the Dark was the main problem for Pathfinders, dominating Into the Dark. They are quite good on Into the Dark now, but it's just really weird. Other than that, they are effectively still one of the best kill teams in the game. They literally have only really been nerfed if you were playing hyper-aggressive Pathfinders turning point 1 in all your games. And you only kept that as a tool as a Pathfinder player. You don't really rely on it. You just relied on the kill team's general strengths. So the fact they still have high-intensity marker lights untouched, as well as enhanced targeting optics, and can still take the recon drone, for me, they've only been taken 5% off their overall power, or even 10 at most. It's not really that much. they still have to react to bad boards. People say they have a struggle getting up to midfield objectives, but I'm like, you get a free recon dash, so you can have 2 recon dashes if you wish. And if you're worried about people coming forward to your objective, you have a gun drone which you can forward deploy and switch to engage. So very dubious claims there. I think Pathfinders really stole their nerves in terms of just like, oh yes, these hurt so much. I'm bleeding. I can't play this kill team anymore. Now watch me win this major. For our first set of losers, we have Bheta Decima, or as I like to coin it, Bheta Decima. No one is using this kill zone anymore, basically, in the competitive scene, apart from Australia, because Australia's surrounded by water, so they know how to play on these highly water-based environments. It's just weird. Games Workshop aren't even using Bheta Decima at their own major tournaments. Bheta Decima was dropped from WTC. WTC, the World Team Championships, is only using Into the Dark and Open. Pretty much every event around the world that's a major competitive event is not using Bheta Decima. They didn't even add the swimming or scalable rules to the terrain to make the kill zone more playable. Because if you make all the gantry scalable, all of a sudden makes the kill zone much more playable, or even just adding the swimming rules so you can like move up the water so it's not just this dead zone of you can't do anything. It's just very strange, and it's actually quite disappointing. You know, I've been joking about it a lot, but I really wanted to see more improvements made for this kill zone so more people use it. Because otherwise it's like, I still speak to people who go like, oh, Bheta Decima is my first kill zone, but no one's using it and no one is having fun on it. I understand why now. I've just bought this terrain and I can only really use it at my club and friends. It's like, unfortunately, yes, because it's just not really balanced for competitive play. And it's just a shame. It looks like, because, you know, you had Elliot saying, oh, you know, we want to make this kill zone playable and ready for everyone. But it looks like they've just kind of abandoned it, which is a shame, you know. I think with a few more tweaks, this could be as good as Into the Dark and Open. It's just a shame they haven't really touched it. Hierotek Circle, they are unfortunately losers as well. Living Metal now happens before reanimation as per the original book wording. So people forget, it wasn't like this, because a lot of people don't actually have the book for the Hierotek Circle. But the original wording as per the book, you do Living Metal, then you do reanimation. So the problem is in the second Balance Dataslate for Hierotek, they changed it so reanimation happens first, then you resolve Living Metal. So not only is reanimation now healing D3 plus 2 instead of D3 plus 3, you also lose the Living Metal bonus. So operatives basically return on 3 to 5 wounds, which puts them in the injured state. The only way around that is by taking the Technomancer, which is fine. I think that actually makes the Technomancer more reliable and stops people playing hyper aggressive with this kill team. You now can't just go like, oh, here, my Despotech's just going to die in your face, as well as like one of my Immortals, but they're going to come back on like 7 to 8 wounds, and then you're going to have to try and kill them again. I can see where people are coming from, like this is now kind of too severe in terms of a hit back, but you basically now have to play a more controlled defensive play style, and you probably actually want to revert to the Technomancer more, especially against certain kill teams. People are saying like the kill team is dead. I don't think so. The Chronomancer is still incredibly powerful, but it does make the kill team fairer. Like you can't deny it was just kind of, some kill teams couldn't deal with that kind of pressure and it wasn't really fair. So I get where Games Workshop was coming from. So a lot of people need to adapt, and I can see a lot of people who can't adapt just ditching the faction. But it's an undeniable hit. Necrons can no longer walk into your face. They kind of have to go, oh yeah, dying is actually pretty bad. Fellgor Ravager, they're nerfed losers, you know, ignore my late ramblings. They lost all Relentless, which was changed to Ceaseless for operatives that had Relentless, which makes their combat operatives require support for successful attacks. Because, you know, it's just, they had 2 operatives who hit on 4s with Relentless when they charged, so they could kind of just fish for crits and proc everything. Now, when they're charging, especially when frenzied, they definitely need combat support. Like the Nalscar and Mangler going down to 10 wounds as well from 11, just lowers the overall wound pool of the kill team. And, you know, you still have Frenzy, but you basically just can't YOLO charge into stuff going, I don't care, I'll just fish for everything. You've still got your reroll ploy, but now you have to rely on it more, and it's bad Relentless because you have to reroll all dice instead of picking which dice to reroll. Reckless Determination was nerfed, So now you have more CP for other ploys. I've had people go, oh, damn, I can't use Reckless Determination to hide and cover to save 2 saves instead of 1. It's just weird. Like, I don't think you were playing Fellgor right if you were using that. As I said, now you just have more CP for your strategic and tactical ploys. Frenzy remains unchanged, so it's a great win for the kill team there. They are very, very much better in the defensive playstyle. As I said, now you're going to want to multi-charge stuff with your operatives that are on 4s natively. So you're going to be encouraged to just like charge block more, just be annoying instead of just YOLO charging into stuff. Overall, they lost a lot of mindless aggressive power, similar to Hierotek, but you still have the very, very powerful Frenzy. I kind of think they could have just changed Frenzy instead of all these nerfs, but whatever. Fellgor are still a really good kill team, but they're definitely not S tier anymore. I would say they're still A tier. Like, you still have the incredible power of Frenzy, because as I said, you can just have frenzied operatives acting as your combat support. It does suck for the Mangler and your big mace guy who'll go down to hitting on 5s and can't fish for Relentless, but as I said, that's why your strategic ploy is there for the full rerolls. But yeah, they have taken quite a big hit. Blades of Khaine are losers. They saw no buffs whatsoever. So I know they've been doing well via the stats, but I don't know why they just didn't change Die Avengers to be buffed to compendium level. Do you know how bizarre I find it to keep saying that sentence? That a bespoke team needs to be buffed to how they were in the compendium level. So it's just like basically making Die Avengers all gain balance on their Shuriken catapults, and the Exarchs double Shuriken catapults going to 3-4 damage instead of 3-3 where we are now. It's just very strange. Like, just that feels like an easy change to me, where they can just go, oh, we missed the compendium entry. Here it is now. I don't think that would break the kill team, but regardless, they did not get that. The Scout Squad is an impossible matchup now. It was already a hard matchup going in pre-Balance Dataslate. Now it's just impossible. I have no idea how Blades of Khaine are supposed to deal with 5 shotguns and 5 knives. It's just ridiculous. As I said, these scouts just rushing you down, and you're just like stupid Monkai. And then they have a lot of problematic powerful teams remain unchanged, making it worse for Blades of Khaine. So like Wyrmblade are a tough team, so no hits. Gellerpox are a tough team for them, so no hits. It's just really weird, just really strange. And, you know, I can understand not touching the Striking Scorpions and the Howling Banshees, but they could have at least given the compendium changes, or just make everyone 9 wounds to show that, you know, they're slightly tougher. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, Blades of Khaine do not like this Balanced Dataslate. Farstalker Kinband are losers too. They saw no changes as well. They have no improvement to damage output, and I understand the justification. You know, Elliot's gone on numerous times. He's the lead designer of Kill Team, saying, you know, the Farstalker Kinband aren't about damage, and that's why scouts can now do 4-6 damage in close combat. But anyway, you know, I still don't understand why the Pistolier's double shoot ability couldn't be just changed to as long as you just move, because currently you can only do it when you dash. So if you can dash or move to double shoot, I think that would be fine. You still can't do it when you charge or fall back, but it's just weird. You know, they have poor damage output, which means popular teams are huge issues. Like, once again, Scout Squad. I don't see how Farstalker Kinband can ever beat a Scout Squad at the moment, let alone other teams. They just don't have the damage. Like, you could now easily, based on the Scout change, make all Croup 3-5 damage. I had a lot of people going like, oh, it wouldn't have made sense for Croup to get 5 crit damage. Scouts have power knives without the power field. It's just a shame. I think they could have easily just made Croup slightly more damaging in justifiable ways. But once again, they remain where they are. Elites overall remain to be losers. The current top teams are too much for them to deal with. It kind of feels weird how the new teams from Season 3 just destroy elite teams. Like, they all just shut down elite teams. It's very, very strange and disappointing. Intercession could have used a slight buff. I know they're a beginner team, but they could have had a slight tweak, as I said in my recommendation video. Scout Squad now easily toy with them. You know, I've already repeated it, but a scout with a knife versus a marine, the scout is likely to win, which is just so weird. And the backflipping scout, if he does a backflip and charges 2 Space Marines, he will kill both of them. He'll just go like, whoa, I did a backflip, bro. And then they're just struggling with the general activation problems of the game for elite kill teams. So I'm hoping that gets addressed in the new edition. Like I said, I would love for Overwatch being changed to React, and React allows you to either Overwatch, do a fight action, or a free dash action. That would just help elite teams a lot. I know people say bring guard into open, but that would be very broken for teams that are obscuring. It's just disappointing. You know, elite teams showing their age with the game mechanics, but also just getting dunked on by every top team in the game right now. Kasrkin are also losers. They got no buffs despite generally very bad performances overall for the last quarter. They still suffer heavily into hordes. Hordes are a big problem for this kill team, and most of the popular kill teams are hordes. They could have seen some ploy and operative tweaks, like you could have given their demolition expert crack and frag, so they could have, like other demolition experts, so they could have more equipment to play around with, tweak some of their ploys so they don't require operatives to be, you know, with the cover and stuff, as long as they just have engage orders, like they're punishing operatives who've activated, that kind of thing. You know, they didn't need to be buffed to the sense where now they just deal with hordes and elite kill teams, but I feel they could have used some more tweaks. Obviously, the best tweak would have been changing elite points to also not just boost ballistic skill, but give them stuff like do a free mission action, do a free dash, group activate, more interesting ways to use their faction mechanic, but that will probably come in another edition. But it's just really weird Kasrkin didn't get touched. Then we have Void Dancer Troupe. They are losers, right? They have also been doing quite well on the stats, but their usage number has dropped off. They could have just, regardless, received a free traverse of 1 white during their activation. You know, flip belts allow Void Dancer Troupe to do a free traverse during their activation of 1 white. So they can just like move through barricades. I think that would have been fine. That would have been completely fine. You maybe could have also reverted one of their changes or another of their nerfs, like making Domino Field just always 1 CP. You know, I think that would have been fine. But most Harlequin players have already abandoned Mandrakes and basically gone. They originally went to Blades of Khaine, but they've all gone to Mandrakes. They've all gone to Mandrakes. You know, it would bring back some players, but it's just disappointing that Void Dancer Troupe even just didn't get the little bit nudge of just a free traverse when they act during their activation. So for the overview, we had minimal changes despite the large number of changes. It didn't affect the meta hugely. Like there was no huge meta swings. We saw like 2 teams go down overall, namely Fellgor and Hierotek Circle, and we had, you know, like Hearthkyn Salvagers move up, but nothing else too crazy apart from the Scout Squad. Unfortunately, the Scout Squad change, it remains the biggest winner, like meta warper change I think we've seen all edition. It's such a crazy buff that, which the thing that annoys me the most, it doesn't even fit the theme of Scouts. It feels very lazy and rushed. Like, oh, we could have just, you know, given them more scouting abilities, buff some of their operatives. Now, extra operative, and now you have the best knives in the game. It's just so weird. Elites overall remain in a bad spot, but as I said when we covered elites, they're just aging based on the activation mechanic of the game, but also because all Season 3 teams and all other top teams seem, well, especially Season 3 teams, seem designed to just completely destroy elite teams, which is bizarre. We have very little change for the top meta teams. As I said, you know, Gellerpox, Wyrmblade, all fine. They're like Pathfinders got a nerf, but only on their Alpha Strike turning point 1. Otherwise, they're still very good. Inquisitory agents, they got untouched. They are still very, very good and have been performing quite well lately. I think they'll do quite good into Brood Brother. Blooded remain fine. I know some people are losing their minds over Blooded's Ogrin, counting as a large operative. But for me, that's fine. You just have to play with the Ogrin a little bit safer. Otherwise, that Blooded remain completely good where they are. A very good kill team at the moment. And overall, it hasn't been too bad of a balanced data slate, considering this could be the last balance change of the edition. The only big gripe, as you've said, and well, as you've heard, is the scouts. You know, just literally, you have to be what you have to. If you hear a scout backflip, run, because it's just going to do a 360 spin and then slash 2 dudes to death. It's just ridiculous where scouts are at the moment. It's just a shame. As I said, We've had previous changes which were very thematic to kill teams, but also a shame we didn't see bad kill teams buffed, like generally bad kill teams, especially Kasrkin. Very weird spot, but as I said, if you consider this a last edition Balance Dataslate, then it's done its job. It's made a few minor tweaks. The only egregious thing is scouts, but we'll live through it and see it. Maybe if people, I think the feedback has been so bad for the scout change, I could see them going just like making knives 4-5 or just reverting them back to 3-5, but we'll see if this is how the meta end, like if this is how the edition ends out. It's not the worst place we could have ended in. It's just a very weird place. It is consistent for whenever this new edition drops. I mean, we might get another Balance Dataslate if this new edition lasts. Well, if this edition lasts until Worlds. So it all waits to see what happens. But overall, I still think it's a fine change. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Do you agree or disagree? Do you think there's any other winners or losers I missed out? Let me know in the episode description, well, in the comments below. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below for free, an affiliate link Element Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support, and I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Willax, Turn Zero Gaming, Tom, Supercow, Sam, Nick, Mercenary Q, John Thomas, Graham, Freeman Go, Dave Meets World, Dad of Goldens, and for my veterans of the creative Sanjay. So thank you so much for all the support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. Well, we're back with another video this week. I'm air punching. You can't see why I'm air punching. But yeah, I need to get some more test games in, doing some more hobby, finishing my scout squad. You know, I love my scouts. I've been a long time scout fan. You know, I got Black Templar scouts. If you ask, you know, I just need 5 more scouts. So if someone has an affordable way to give me 5 scouts, I'm all ears, because I really love scouts. I love backflips and using knives because I'm from London. So, but you know, as I said, this is a fine holding pattern for if this is the last Balance Dataslate of the edition. I don't think it's too crazy. You know, just embrace the scouts. Scouts are life. So remember, no matter how many times you get charged by scouts with knives, there's always a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit.